Hi everybody, my next guest is Jemima. We would like to welcome you. Jemima, please tell me about yourself. I'm so excited to hear your story.
Thank you so much for inviting me here. My name is Jemima.
Yeah.
I'm from Uganda, and I've been here for 11 years, 12 years almost. And I like to read.
You like to read?
I like anything that makes me feel happy, that makes me feel like I'm growing,
Right.
like inside and out.
Right.
So yeah.
Jemima, I know you never ask a lady their age, but you are a young lady and you read a lot. Not so many people your age are actually reading books. They're probably on the internet, but you actually read physical books. And then right now you're reading Start With Why. Start With Why. And this is what we're going to talk about, you know. Why are you reading this book? Because this is a very heavy book.
Yeah.
Why did you choose this one?
So I think I've read a lot of books, and when you read, you learn a lot, and it's also like a part of growing. You learn a lot, and you're like, oh, okay, this. You figure out a lot of things, and because I'm on my personal journey, and I've been doing, like, I have dreams. I have so many things I want to achieve in life, and but sometimes you don't really get to really ask yourself some important things that really matter. And I think when I saw my mom has like a library home.
Okay.
So like she always buys books like that, and I always saw them, but I was just like never like in that stage. So when I started like working on myself, I saw that book, and that was just a book that was just like, yes, I need to read this book. And I read it a few times where I just stopped, because like my mind is everywhere. I'm like, I would like to read everything. I want to read everything. So like I picked it up a few times, and I think it's just I read some stuff, and I'm like, leave it, and then come back to it. But I think just that, like, start with why, it's so important. And I feel like it's just like, if you want to succeed in life and you want to do something, it's so important to start with why you're doing it. So
Right. So okay, wow. You start with why you're doing it. And if you want to succeed in life, you need to ask yourself, why am I doing this?
yeah.
Right. So what have you learned? What have you learned with starting with why in your life?
I've learned like a lot of things. There are some things I do, but I don't know why I'm doing them.
Right.
And I've realized when I don't know what, if I really don't know why I'm doing something, it's easy for me to drop it. So me picking up this book, and that was just me being like, just me realizing the importance how to read it. You need to ask yourself why you're doing something. Like the other questions can come after, like how you do it, but you have to start why you're doing something, because that's the most important thing. You even like when you're going to a place, you need to like why you're going to that place. Because if you don't have why, it's like, if I'm going to school and I don't know why I'm going to school, then I'm gonna lose interest in going to school. You know, I need to know I'm going there to learn,
Right.
to expand my brain, like you know.
Wow. So as a young lady, did you ever sit down and ask yourself, why am I going to school?
No.
You just did it.
I just did it.
And how was it for you, just to be in the flow, just because society expects us to go to school? How was it for you?
So I've always been a really, really smart person,
Right.
From a very, very young age. Even when I was in Uganda,
Okay.
I used to be one of 5 of the best students in my class.
Right.
So when I came to Denmark, when I was in Uganda, I was just a clever girl. So like I was just like, you know, I just needed to be in school, read, and all that. So when I came to Denmark, I kind of lost, you know, the reasons, like all those I just didn't even think about it anymore. Like I was just like there to be there.
Right.
And I think and I think that's why I lost interest. When I came to Denmark, I just didn't care about going to school because I didn't have a reason to. Like,
there was no why.
There was no why. So I'm just like, I was just there to be there. And in Denmark, you get paid to be in school.
Welcome to Denmark.
So that, like, I would just go there because, if you don't go to school, they will like,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, so like, so my mom used to like to push me like, go to school, even the teachers came to my place, but I was just really not interested. And when I was in school, I was just like on Facebook doing all these things. But it was until I asked myself, why do I want to, why am I there? Like, that's when I started reading a lot of books. Because I'm like, okay, I want to be a doctor. I love learning. I'm the person that, like, I need to know why this. Like, when I'm doing math, I cannot just do a little, like, I cannot, if you ask me 2 + 2, and I know the answer, and then I'm gonna ask myself, but why is this like this? I need to go back and it's this, yeah. So I need to know all these things and like, yeah.
What it feels as if when you go around, if your mom tells you need to go to school and then you don't have the why, then it will, you don't really feel it. Then your mother will probably feel as if you're provoking her, or your friends tell you let's go out, and you can't see the reason why. Isn't it a provocation? How do people around you react? Because the way you look at, you're very focused, and why you're focused is because you want to see the reason why you're doing certain things. So how is it with people around you? Do they accept you for you being a very focused person?
Well, I think before that really mattered a lot. But I'm in a place in my life where if you don't accept it, then you need to go.
Woo!
Like,
woo! Is this also from the?
No. But like that's just like my, that's my mindset. Like,
right.
If I'm like, I want to be. When I come into a room,
yes,
I need to breathe. I need to feel like, okay, I can be myself.
Right.
I cannot be in a room where I have to question like my existence. Like, no, I come in and that's why like I don't have a lot of friends. I used to have a lot of friends, but I cut them all off because I feel like I didn't feel comfortable. So, and if you don't really if you're trying to find yourself, you will never find yourself with people that make you feel uncomfortable. So
I hope you guys heard that. So we're talking about identity here, right? You've been in Denmark for 11, 12 years now. You come into a new environment. How was that for you? Because you're now dealing with, if you don't like me, then you know what? I don't care. But you come into a new environment, new ways of living. How do you adapt to it? What do you do? How did you do it?
Yeah. So when I came to Denmark, for me, I was so young, so I didn't know how to react. I didn't even know that there was something called culture shock. Shock. Yeah, I didn't know that. So for me, I was just like, I just was just there, and I just didn't know. But it was just so hard, and I got traumatized from a lot of things. And for a long time, I was very, very unhealthy, like both my body and my mind too, because with so many things I have to adapt. Like, it's just too different. I come from a culture like that's so very different from the Danish culture. So me coming and trying to adapt, it was just no go. It was just actually traumatizing.
Right.
So, and I think when you're older, then it's easier for people to come in because they know themselves already. You know that there's some things you don't have to be a certain way to fit in.
Right.
Where for me at that age, when I came to Denmark, I didn't know myself. I was young and just, yeah. You
are in your 20s. I'm not going to reveal your age, but you're in your 20s, right? You're in your 20s, early 20s. most young people your age will not have time for that. They will not have time to reflect. They will just flow. All right. But you reflect a lot. You were talking about coming into a room and feeling you're having space to breathe. Where does this mindset come from?
Hard work.
Hard work. Hard work.
Hard work. Yeah. So I've had a lot. I think so I had a time where I was like just doing things, and I just didn't know why I was doing things. And sometimes when like, the universe, we can all run away from our trauma and all these things like we're dealing with. We can run away so much, but it always catches up.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes you can run so much, but you cannot run faster because the past will always catch up. Right. And I feel like for me, I used to go out and get drunk and do this, but every time I got drunk, it was as if all my trauma came out.
Right.
And I would like put it on my friends. Like my friends would be like, "Hey, don't do this." I'll be like, and I would really be mad. I'll be like, "Don't touch me, don't blah." So it was just like every time it would be something. It did like, okay, this time is this and this time is this. I was just like, okay, why am I acting like this?
Right.
Why is it that every time when I get drunk, or it was just a really, really, really bad time.
Yeah.
So like I think at that time I was just like, yeah, I read enough.
Yeah.
But the past.
Cut up. What happened for you to have that click? To flip around and say, okay, look, you know what? I'm a party girl, but I've got no why in my life. Now I need to have a why. When did that happen?
I think finding knowing I have a purpose in this world.
Having a purpose in this world.
Yeah.
Building your legacy. Yes.
No,
Right.
yeah.
Right. Okay. So you know that you've got a purpose. How are you dealing with that? How do you deal with having a purpose and fulfilling that purpose? Because it's one thing to say, I have a purpose, but doing something about it, that's also another energy. You need to put energy in it.
Yeah.
How does that work? How do you do it?
Self-discipline.
Whoa! This young lady. Self-discipline.
Yeah.
How is that? Tell me about self-discipline.
I think it's like self-discipline is something you have to like to build up. It's like, and you can never be like that person that's like does all these things every day. It's like balance, and that's something else I'm still working on myself. Like there's some days where I'm like, I'm doing all these things. I wake up in the morning, make myself breakfast, read 50 pages, do this, and I'm like, wow. And there's some days where I'm just kind of like, I'm reading, like, yeah. And sometimes I cannot even read like a page because I can feel like my mind's somewhere else. And that's where I'm like, okay, today I can't do all these things. Let me do the things I can, the other things I can do. And I realized like, me knowing myself enough to know, okay, today's I'm not gonna be that productive. I'm not gonna be reading all that. Okay, what do I like? Oh, I like maybe I should listen to something that makes me, instead of reading. If I can't read that day, I like to listen to books.
Right.
So I have those days where I listen to books. I have those days where I'm just like reading them. But
yeah.
I love reading. So like even if I'm listening to a book, I'm gonna read it. I will stop and be like, you know what, I'm gonna read it, because for me that's like, that's like for me reading for me.
Right.
But it's
gaining knowledge. You're
knowledge.
always gaining knowledge. So self-discipline.
Yeah.
Is what?
Sorry, I'm going. I'm off the topic sometimes.
No. I think we're doing good. I think I'm enjoying this talk. That's what Insight is all about. Talking about everything and nothing at all, but getting a lot out of it. So self-discipline. I know you run, and then, have you put goals there as well? How do you, discipline yourself that, it's winter now, we're getting into winter, it's cold, but you always tell yourself, I'm going to wake up this morning and I'm going to run, just like I'm going to read a book. How do you work with your self-discipline?
Yeah.
How do you work with your mindset?
I think so I always make excuses, and I'm like, like when I started, I used to run I used to run a long time ago, and I used to like. I think if I kept running, I'll be professional runner right now, because I used to really be that very good, very very good.
I like that. We've got a semi-pro here. We've got a semi-pro today.
You better watch out. No, but like I used to be good. I used to like run, and I love running.
Right.
But I think there's some things that came into my life where I just didn't have space. I didn't make space like for running anymore, and I just like just threw it away. And so when I met Zuzu, and like she was just like, oh, we're going. She kept writing to me, and I wanted to run, but at that time there were other things that like that I think running at that time was not. I didn't have space for it. But there is a place and time for everything, and sometimes there's some things you do when you're at peace. And running for me, it's just like, you know, when you like, there's like steps like of like, you know, you're just like in a bad place and you're going through some things, and there are steps. And for me, when I start running, and not because I'm like, okay, I can make all these excuses. Like the last time we ran, it was really cold, but because I've reached a place in my life where I'm so at peace that those excuses, I don't even have place for them anymore. I'm like, I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna run. And when I run, I feel so empowered. I'm like, wow. So for me, like running is also like reading to me. Actually, it's like reading, but I cannot read when I'm stressed.
No,
I cannot run when I'm stressed, and I know if I do these things, if I teach myself, if I'm like, okay, I'm stressed today, but I'm gonna try to read, that also makes me less stressed. It's just like running, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is, you know your body.
I know my body.
You know your body, and you react to how you feel. If today you feel like running, you will run. If today you feel like reading, you would read a book. And then if it doesn't, then you can say, you know what, I will not read, because you respect yourself, you respect your body. What would you tell these young guys, you know, that are facing this same unknown in their world? What should I do? How do you deal with knowing yourself? How can one learn to know themselves and respect themselves?
So listening to your body, it's like self-care. Like self-care is a lot of people, like especially when you're going through that time where you're like trying to figure out yourself, trying to learn finding yourself and everything. By the way, finding yourself, you don't find yourself because you're already yourself. So you like, it's already you. Like you can't go. You're not somewhere hiding. Yourself is not somewhere hiding. I'm just like, oh, hiding and 6. I wanna come and find you.
5 o'clock, I'll come out. It doesn't work like that.
No, it does not work like. It's already in you. It's already in you. Like, you know, and you just have to realize that. But yeah. So like,
how do you realize that? How do you take out the you that is hiding? How do you bring it out?
So the way I did it, so all this, I think it all started last year in summer, and I was just like, dealing with a lot of stuff.
Right.
So, you know, it was lockdown,
the COVID.
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
And it's like normally I would go out and like drink myself, like, you know, I would just drink, get drunk, and all, you know, do all these things and like party all night. But when it was lockdown, I couldn't do that. I didn't have any friends because I cut them off. So I was only in my room, you know?
Yeah.
And that forced me to deal with my trauma, forced me to deal with myself, reflect, because I was like, where am I going to go? If I want to go out, I'm going to go to the park, because that's the only open thing I can, you know, that's the only thing I can do. And that really forced me to like, you know, work on myself. I'm like, okay, I can't go anywhere. I can't drink. I don't have friends. I can't do anything. I'm forced to like, it was like, I couldn't run away from all the trauma anymore. I had to sit in it, feel it, and then work on it. So.
You heard that? She had to feel it, work on it, and then come out of it.
Yeah. So, talking about how you really like, how do you know your body and everything? I think it's just like, it's, self-care. We wake up and we want to like be productive every day. We like want to do all these things. We have to have self-discipline and all this. But it's like self-love and self-discipline.
Yeah.
It's different. It's different. It's like you don't have to like do all a lot. You don't if like. So I have like a list of things I have to do, and I'm like, I have to read, I have to do this, and it's like I always remind myself. I don't always have to like do all these things to feel like, so I don't have to do all these things to feel like I love myself.
Right.
Sometimes laying and like feeling and just like meditating and just let myself feel my body. That's also like, self-care.
Self-care.
Wow.
It's
like self-care is not only making a smoothie and like, oh, I'm gonna make a smoothie. Self-care, mask on. That's not like, no, like that's that's also self-care. But like, self-care is so much more than just that. You can also like from I think one time I'm still going to therapy.
Okay.
And,
you go to therapy?
Yeah, every Wednesday.
Right. Okay.
So like one time I was just like, because the first time I started there, I was just like, there's so many things happening in my body,
right.
And my mind is like all over the place, and my therapy. And at one point when I started relaxing, because it's like she was helping me a lot, and at some point I would just lay in my bed and I would just feel like everything, and just lay there and just like look, and just like reflect and just and that really felt good.
That felt good.
So that's like also like knowing yourself. Like you don't have like, I read because I love reading, because it brings me peace, and I'm also a person, I'm very curious.
Right.
So that's really like that's just me.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to do all that. You can also do other things and still know yourself. Yeah.
So wow. Okay. So COVID was actually very positive.
Very positive. Just not in the body.
No. Well, around us, it was very positive.
Yeah.
So right. Okay. So you work on self-care, and you mentioned that self-care was not just the outside. It starts with inside. You need to work with your inside you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when I started working, at first self-care for me was just make a smoothie, cooking for myself and doing all this. And I think when I really got in deep, it was not that anymore. That was just like those superficial things you can like start with. That's just like the beginners,
Oh, okay.
For beginners, I'm of course I still make myself smoothie, but I know it's like it's not all that. Like that's just me, just like drinking water. It's still self-care, but it's not like whoa.
No.
But so like for me, when I started to like working on the inside, working on myself from inside, I think I could see how everything was easier.
Right.
From the outside,
Yeah.
So I'm working inside and I'm starting to feel good. Before I used to look good, go around, I'm like, I look good, but I didn't feel good inside, You're like, have this bag, I'm like, my clothes, like everything, but like I didn't really look, I didn't feel good inside. And I wondered, how can I look so good on the outside?
Very powerful. No,
yeah,
very powerful.
but and feel so bad
inside.
So so like when I got a therapy and I was just doing all of these things, new things, I'm like, okay, looking on YouTube, YouTube is so like, wow, we have all these places you can get all, YouTube, you can read books, you can read all these things, like it's free, it's free. And it's like, if you want to know yourself, there's so many ways out there. You can like, you can start somewhere. You don't have to start like me.
No.
But it's just like, just be open to everything. And so like when I started like working on myself inside, I found out, I realized that everything really was easier for me outside. Like it was easy for me. I never really liked making food, But when I was feeling good inside,
Yeah.
I made myself food. I was just doing all these things. I would do yoga, and I'm like, oh my God, like it's like I was so happy. And I remember like the first time I felt like that, I was riding. I think I was going to the doctor, and I was smiling. I was just
Big
like,
smile.
like everyone was. If someone looked at me, they were getting a smile, and I'm like, it was just so funny because I was just like, oh my God, I really feel good inside.
Yeah. That was the break.
That was like, whoa.
Right.
Working on yourself inside it feels so much better than working yourself outside.
And it was way because you started with the why, right? You started with the why, and then from there, you started working with yourself. Most of us think, oh, I should shave and blah blah blah, and then I'll look good, feel good, but inside you feel rotten.
Yeah.
So the best thing is to start from the inside.
Yeah, but we live in a society that makes us think it's the outside that matters. Like we have to, like women, we have to go and buy all these things, and we look. But if you don't feel, if you don't feel good inside, all those things don't matter. Like because I remember that time when I used to go out. I had all these friends. I had a lot of friends. I think my world looked, if you looked from outside and you saw my Instagram back, you'd be like, wow, she's having fun. She's doing all these things. She has a lot of friends. I was like, if you saw from outside, you would be like, wow, I want her life.
Right. Okay.
But you haven't seen inside.
The inside.
The inside is rotten.
It's crying for help.
Yeah, it's just like a mango where you like, the inside is rotten and like looks really good. But when you cut it, you're like, hey.
Like a mango. Wow. Yes, we should use that one. Like a mango. Yeah. So, right. Then you started discovering yourself. Then you started feeling good about yourself. So where are you in your life now? What is the next stage?
Next stage. So just remember when I was telling you about coming on time. I'm
Yes.
like, I feel like those like thing right now. I'm like, okay, I know myself. I know my boundaries. Every day I learn more things about myself, and even if I know all these things, there's always something new. I'm like realizing, I'm like reflecting, and I'm not, so I go to therapy every Wednesday, and I realize every time I'm on therapy, there's something new. I'm like, hey, this, and then it's so funny because I'm like every day it's as if I'm like I feel good, and I'm like I feel like myself, but every day I'm learning new things. Before it was maybe like I remember when I was. From the start, the things I was talking was just like, okay, you learn to set boundaries, and then I guess like for me, I started from like knowing what my boundaries are, like and it was I remember I had a situation where with this woman who was just like saw me at a beach, and she came and she was just rubbing me with like lotion, and she's like, oh my God, you look so good, your skin. I'm like, please stop, I don't want to. And I kept saying this, and she kept like rubbing this lotion on me, and I'm like, oh my God. At that time I was just like, she stepped on my boundaries. That's like my, that was like a boundary she stepped on.
Yeah.
So when I came back home, I was just when I came home, I was just like, okay, I felt so bad. I could feel like I was not comfortable.
Right.
And it took me a long time to like, ooh, like this woman really stepped on my boundaries. But before I didn't know, and even if when someone did step on my boundaries, it was just like, no, fuck it. But now I know myself.
So, yeah.
I'm so sorry. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
No, so you were saying...
Yeah. But I think when I started knowing myself, finding myself, and all these things, I realized I also knew where my boundaries. I know my boundaries. So when someone steps on them, it's not just like, I feel them, and it's very, very, it's like I can feel it, like, whoa, you're doing something that I don't want.
Yeah.
From the moment when someone does, it's so clear to me. Everything is clear. So, and I didn't have this before. Right. I wouldn't like mind about that. I would be like, yeah. But right now it's like, whoa, I can feel it.
Yeah.
And
then you say it.
And I say it. I'm like, hey,
stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I was just telling my therapy about it, she was just like, I was just telling her, yeah, I was just telling her, please, because I told her many times. And this woman didn't want to stop. And I could feel when I told my therapist, she was like, don't ever say please. You know, don't say please, because this is your body. You have to say, don't do that. And that's it. Full stop.
Right.
And like,
so it's a voice of command.
Yeah, because this is my body.
That's you. Yeah.
I don't have to say please.
No. Right. And how do people react? Because your friends, you know, at one time they would do it, and then your boundaries were, you know, you're compromising your boundaries. They'll, you know, do like the woman or the person that did the cream, you know. Let's assume the person was your friend, and then today you let the person do it. And then today, if the same person came to you, you would tell them, don't, right? How do you think people react from the old you to the new you?
I think there's two types of people in this world. There's people that know themselves, and there's people that really don't know themselves. And when I'm with people that know themselves, they don't question it. They're like, yeah, she stepped on your boundaries, and that's it. And then there's people that are just like, whoa, you have boundaries? Like, you know.
They even get surprised.
Yeah, they get, for them it's very extreme, but because they're not used to that, they don't know themselves. And that's like one of the things I'm like, you know, that's why I told you, when I come in a room, I want to breathe. And when I'm in a room full of people that just don't know themselves, for me, I feel like I'm afraid to people, because the way I talk and the way I am, if I say no to someone that never got told no, they're gonna be like, whoa, what are you doing? Like, you know. Yeah, so I think it depends what kind of people I am with. But for me, I've realized that I have to, like, when I do something, if I say no, I have to stand by
ground.
And I have to be like, yes, no. I can't be like, hey, I'm so sorry, but don't do that. I have to be like, no.
Right.
And then I really don't mind what people think, because that's like because if I have to start thinking, then I'm going to start overthinking. So I like to just be like, no, don't do that.
So if you think too much, you go into compromising.
I'm going to deny you. And then I'm like, oh, I'm not, you know, maybe that. And I know myself, because I've always had this where I'm like, oh, did I do? No, I don't have time for that. Because right there, if I'm like, no, that's not okay with me, it's not okay. If I go and start thinking, I'm like, oh, this, then all of a sudden I'm gonna start having doubts.
Yeah.
So
you wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Listen, we're coming close to the end. Is anything that you want to tell the young people that are listening to this? Just anybody in particular that's listening to this talk? What advice would you give in terms of knowing your why and starting with why and knowing your boundaries?
So my advice to people, when you start to get to know yourself, never, for example, what we talked about, me by saying no, surround yourself with people that know themselves. Because people that don't know themselves, they're always going to make you feel like you're less. Right. They're always going to make you feel like you're too much. And you're never, you're enough. It's like when someone makes you feel like you're too much, it's because they're not enough for you, you know?
Yeah. Right.
So always be around people that will never make you feel less of yourself.
I am a person that loves people around me, right? And then you think, okay, if I, like you're saying, then I'll lose all these people. Then I'm like, oh, I should just compromise. What would you say to a person like me? Would you tell me, you know what, you need to stand your ground, because if these are really your friends, they'll stick by you. If not, is that what you would tell people around you, the young ones especially? Because I'm thinking the older ones are learning to know themselves in this situation, but the younger ones are the ones fighting with knowing yourself. You know, because I think most of them, like you say, most of them start from the outside doing the makeup, blah, 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 blah.
I also started like that.
You know, and then the mango, when you open the mango, it's actually rotten inside, you know. So people are fighting with it. You know, young people are fighting with it. When I go around and talk to these guys around, I can feel that they're fighting. There's a dilemma with what to do because they want to be liked by people around them. They don't want to be alone. You know, and this is what our society, what we're facing people with stress, depression because of these same things, you know. And then here you are, a young lady that has discovered yourself, you know.
Yeah. So one thing I would love to tell young people that are going through, you know, they're trying to discover themselves, get a therapy.
Get a therapy?
Yeah. Like that's you know, invest in yourself. And therapy is like, oof. I'm like, I don't need therapy. And I mean, I need therapy. I take it back because I feel like, you know, but you know, like, so like, I don't need it as much as I used to because I was really in a bad place. Right now, I feel good. And when I go to therapy, it's not like, oh, but it's just because I want to know myself every day. So like, therapy is so important, especially for young women, like, especially Black girls. Like, you know, get therapy because that's like, you know, the best investment you can do for yourself. Get therapy and understand why you're doing all these things, how you react, why you're reacting the way you do. Like, understanding yourself, like, it's so important. Like, even if you don't, a lot of people, they just don't know they're actually dealing with something until they sit down with someone professional and they're like, whoa, like every time there's some things I didn't know I was like dealing with until I was talking to my therapy and she was like, oh, but this, you know, she put it together. I'm like, wow, that makes sense.
Right.
So like getting therapy is so important, like invest in yourself. You know, you can buy all these Gucci bags later, but right now, therapy, especially at a young age, you don't want to deal with this when you're like 40, 50, like, you know, deal with it right now. Then you have like,
starting from the inside,
yeah,
and invest in yourself. That is what I'm hearing you. You know, you're really saying invest in yourself, and investing in yourself is not the Gucci bags.
No.
You know, that comes later on, but invest in the inner you.
Yeah, even the Gucci bag looks better on you when you know yourself.
There you go. There you go. It was